Prior to installation, verify that the installation site and supporting structure have been investigated and found capable of withstanding all loads imposed by the proposed antenna system, equipment, and personnel. It is highly recommended that a risk assessment is carried out prior to the deployment, to ensure the safe working area for everyone, and the risks have been reduced. These 2 warning signs will be shown throughout the video, to indicate the risks involved with certain parts of the installation. Whilst the system is operating, do not look into the antenna, and do not look into the feed system. Stay outside the radiation exclusion zone, shown here, whilst the system is transmitting. The TP100 is supplied in 3 cases, weighing around 50 pounds each. Here is the contents of each case. Please note there are dedicated areas for each assembly. Unpack the quick deploy mount from the case. The tripod setup is made easier by putting it head first on the ground. Open and evenly splay the leg assembly, until the leg spider fits completely over the king post base. It should sit flush. Secure the leg spider with the 3 locking hand knobs, flip the tripod the correct way up, and then take the sand shoes out of the case. Place a sand shoe on the foot of each tripod leg. Use a heavy object as a ballast to secure the tripod. A sandbag, concrete slab, or water container works just fine. Extend the backing structure. Secure the thumb nuts by turning them 90 degrees, until they lock into place. Extend the transceiver assembly, and lock off with the thumb screws. Lift the feed arm onto the tripod. Twist the clamps, so they are perpendicular to the frame, and tighten the screws. The back clamp should be close to the elevation base to give good stability. The modem is located and secured onto the elevation backing structure using retention hooks attached to the modem, and shoulder bolts on the backing structure. Guide the modem retention bracket over the shoulder bolts and secure with the quarter-turn thumb locks. There is an internal cutout for the shoulder bolts which will allow the modem to drop into the correct position. The Cisco router is mounted to the top of the modem by a quick release plate. Locate the holes in the modem top plate, and line up the mount. Once lined up, the router will press into place. To release the router, pull this lever. There are 3 points of contact on the base pedal. The divot at the very bottom allows the post on the backing mount to sit inside, locking it into place. The other 2 points line up with thumb screws, and can be secured once in position. The reflector pedals line up number to number. Line up the guideposts with the holes in the pedal and press into place. There should be no gaps in the reflector. Once in place, the clips can be secured down. Repeat this process until the reflector is assembled. All cables are labeled in yellow. The top label refers to the device, and the bottom label refers to the connector. Here is a diagram for all the ports on the modem and router. First, insert the buck power cable. The outer ring twists clockwise to lock the cable into place. Secondly, secure both L-band cables as shown. Make sure both connectors are fully secure and hand-tight. Make sure to read the label to use the correct cable for the LNB and buck. Tidy up the cables from the feed arm assembly by placing them in the white clip. Unscrew the dust caps on the modem. Plug in the two cables from the LNB and buck. The buck plugs into the left, and the LNB on the right. Plug in the buck power cable. Plug in the green cable to the M-pad, so that the white lines are lined up. Line up the white line on the other end of the cable to the connector on the GPS module, and connect. Don't forget to mate the dust cap. Line up the white line on the blue cable, and connect it to the other input. Once again, mate the dust cap to keep it clean. The other end of the cable will connect to the modem M-pad socket. There is a white line on the other end of the wire, which must also be aligned when plugging into the modem. Plug in the cable to draw power from the modem to the router. Plug the other end into the router. Connect the router WAN to the modem as shown. The connector is slightly off-center, so take care when inserting. Plug in the modem power cable. The modem is powered from a 24-volt source, either from a mains to DC power supply unit, or from a 12-volt battery. Both are connected to the modem with the same cable. If you are using mains power, connect the modem directly to the power supply unit 24-volt input, and connect the mains power to the VAC connector. The system can also be powered from a 12-volt battery via the Holkirk DC to DC converter. Connect the modem to the 24-volt side of the converter. The battery is connected via the T-bar cable. Make sure the polarity is correct, with positive and negative correctly connected. The battery can then be connected to the power supply. The battery charge level indicator and the charge port can be found under the zip on the casing. Pointing the antenna is made simple with the M-pad manual assist controller. The system calculates the position of the satellite, using the entered orbital slot of the satellite, and the internal GPS receiver, and will display the target elevation and azimuth, denoted by the T. The pole settings are also shown. The TP100 has an array of solid-state sensors that will give real-time feedback of the antenna mount position, and the M-pad will display the azimuth and elevation readout for accurate peaking. Unlock the buck and LNB assembly, and rotate until the actual pole readout is the same as the target. Use the scale to set the required pole as instructed from the M-pad. Remember to check H or V pole. Lock off the assembly. You are now ready to set the elevation. The elevation head is the assembly that holds the feed arm and the pointing mechanisms. There is an analog inclinometer as a backup for pointing. To set the course elevation, you must first release the elevation brake and course locks. The antenna elevation will be free to fall, so you must support the reflector and maintain balance of the feed arm and reflector. Unscrew the elevation brake locks from both sides. Whilst you are supporting the rear of the reflector, lift up the elevation course lock. Manually set the elevation to the reading given in the target elevation on the M-pad, and then clamp down the elevation course lock. To adjust the azimuth, first release the course brake on the tripod assembly. This will allow for 360-degree movement. Set the antenna heading to the target azimuth given on the M-pad. Remember, the accuracy will depend on magnetic influence, so look plus and minus 20 degrees from the M-pad target. Lock off the azimuth, adjust with the brake. For accurate peaking, you can use the fine adjust movements on the elevation and the azimuth controls. When the antenna locks onto the satellite, the M-pad display will show the satellite signal's strength, as well as a maximum hold. Once the system is pointed, you must lock off the elevation with the 2 elevation brake lock knobs, and lock the azimuth with the brass azimuth brake lock. The TP100 is now ready for operation. For more information on the TP100, please refer to the operator's manual, or visit our website at holkirk.com.